Hello, hi, you're welcome. It's Henry the computer guy, and this is our lesson number 22. We are actually going to be looking at the ICT safety precautions. Actually, precautions specifically mean the measures taken in advance to prevent something dangerous from happening, and we are going to be looking at them. So they are telling us that as ICT users, it is very important to take precautions when using ICT tools to avoid getting health problems. For example, we talked about when you're using a computer for so long, you'll get what we call the eye defect, the eye strain. For example, when you sit, let's say, use a poor sitting posture, you'll find that the back is paining you. You use a computer for so long, get some headache and others. So we are going to look at them, all the precautions we can always take into consideration. So they're telling us that as ICT users, it is very important to take precautions when using ICT tools to avoid getting health problems. So we shall learn more about this in the chapter on health and safety. To ensure that ICT tools are used with caution, manufacturers always provide users manuals for all ICT equipment. Whenever you buy a product when it is new, they will always have to put what we call a user manual or the product manual. How you're actually going to be using this product. They always write a documentation or something on some papers which will guide the user on how to use the device or the component. Let's continue. And before we talk about them, let's first talk about the computer laboratory rules and regulations. And these are actually the behaviors in the computer lab, or the do's and the don'ts we are supposed to follow in the computer lab. They're telling us that computers, like any other piece of electronic equipment, need special care and attention in order to perform properly and safely. That's why we talked about the computer servicing, repairing them, maintaining them in a good working condition. So like any other component, they need special care and attention. There are many tasks that should be done and caution that should be taken to ensure proper working and safety of all components of the computer system. We talked about some of them before. In this unit, we shall concentrate on some daily do's and don'ts and the precautions that anyone in a computing environment should know. For example, you're using computers, you should know this. You're using, let's say, in any computer computing or component environment that involves computers, use of computers, you have to know this. For example, let's talk about a computer lab. I'll focus most on the computer lab. What is a computer lab? It is a room that has been specially prepared to facilitate the installation of computers and to provide a conducive environment for teaching and learning of ICT. You want to do your practical at school, you go to the computer lab. You want to make some work, documentation, you go to the computer lab. So I'm going to focus on a computer lab specifically. We continue. And they're telling us that we have the computer lab rules and regulations, and some of them are discussed below or explained below. Rule number 1. Computer components should be kept dust-free. Avoid smoking and exposing computers to dust. Remember, we talked about the dust some time back in our previous lessons. You always have to keep a computer away from the dust. If it happens to reach there, you have to clean the computer. For example, using a dust blower. So all computer labs must be kept dust-free. For example, don't enter with the shoes in the computer lab. Put a woolen carpet there to trap the dust. Those are some of the items you can do to keep computers away from the dust. Never try to remove the cover on your computer or touch inside the system unit. There are many sensitive components inside. Take it to a qualified technician in case you don't know. Remember, inside the system unit, we have what we call a power supply. Accidentally, if you don't know what it does, you end up touching there, then all of a sudden problems come or arise. So never try to remove the cover of your computer unless the teacher is guiding you or you're doing something practically in the presence of a teacher. We continue. Keep all liquids and food, gum items away from your computer. Liquids and food crumbs can cause rusting and corrosion and damage electronic components. Also, mixing liquids and electronic components can cause serious electric shock. Liquids are supposed to be left out of the computer lab. You have your water, why do you go with it to the computer lab? Accidentally, you're drinking it, you might actually lose some of the components. So liquids are supposed to be left out of the computer lab. And number 4 tells us that never use your computer during a storm. We talked about this one earlier. The computer is connected to electricity, and that means that lightning could be conducted to the computer lab. Do you know the budget you're going to be destroying? How many computers you're having in the lab? Whenever it is raining heavily or during a storm, don't attempt to use a computer. But we said you can use some of the items to prevent that. Installation of lightning conductors on the computer lab to absorb the lightning. Or don't use the computer during a storm. Continue. Be careful when using the internet. Do not accept downloads from internet sites that you don't know and trust. And never open an email attachment unless you know and trust the person who sent it. Remember, viruses move all over the internet because it is a network connection of 2 or more computers sharing resources. One person has a virus, connects to an internet, uploads a file, you download it, your computer is going to be affected by a virus. So never accept emails or never download them when you don't know someone who has sent it. And if you want to, let's say, download an email from someone you know, do always scan the email before downloading it. We continue. Avoid making or bringing external devices to the computer lab. E.g. the flash disks, which might contain viruses. Use them and connect to our computers in the lab when they are already infected with viruses, hence affecting the files on our computers. So you always have to avoid bringing external devices or unauthorized devices to the computer lab. Enter and exit quietly. When you're entering the computer lab, enter quietly. Don't run, because you might knock down some of the components, leading to you to pay for them. So enter and exit quietly the computer lab. Leave your workstation tidy. Pick up all the trash, push in your chairs, hang up your headphones, and log off. Don't just stand up and leave. You have to switch off the computer even normally, in a right way. Dirt is there or dust is there, pick it and just take it to the dustbin. So you have to leave the workstation when it is clean. Handle delicate storage devices with care. Do not touch the inner surface of compact disks and floppy disks. Safely remove flash disks from the system unit. Don't just unplug the flash disk out. Remove it safely. Eject it and remove it safely in the right way or right order. And handle all those delicate devices or components with extra care for them to be durable, to work for you for a longer period of time. Avoid excessively bright and flickering computer monitors. This brightness of the computer monitors should be adjusted. Sorry, the brightness of the computer monitors should be adjusted to avoid eye strain. Those monitors flickering, flashing monitors, actually they strain our eyes, hence leading to eye defect. So avoid using them in the computer lab. Always sit upright to avoid muscle pains and back aches caused by poor sitting posture. You have to sit upright. That means that you have to be having what we call an ergonomically set workstation. For example, the chair must be adjustable. The monitor has to be adjustable, tilted to the level that you actually need. So whenever you sit upright or well, you will avoid some of the problems like the muscle pains and the back pains. We continue. Do not bring magnetic devices to the lab. Remember, the computer has magnetic disks which can be spoiled if they come near other magnetic fields. Those computers have hard disks which have magnets in them. So whenever you bring them closer to the magnets, they are going to be destroyed. So never bring them to the computer lab. Be careful to all your teachers. Be respectful to all your teachers, classmates, and all equipment. Whenever, for example, a task has, let's say, refused to come out the way you want it, don't just bang the component. Ask for help from the person who is in charge, or ask your classmates. So respect all your teachers, classmates, and our equipment in the lab. Do not print without permission. You know, computers, we always have a network. Printers are connected to a network. Whenever someone feels that they want to print, they just print. So you have to, first of all, ask for permission before printing. Exit inappropriate sites and images. For example, people who are naked, we are in the computer lab. Why do you actually open them? They are not in the realm of what we are actually studying at that time. And we are not supposed to search for that information during class time or the entire time we are at school. We're supposed to be doing our own research and doing some information which is related to education. Exit all inappropriate sites. That's why, for example, in my lab, I always block all those sites that can bring some of those content. Internet searches must remain within the realm of the class assignment and must adhere to the contract that was signed by each student. Remember, when you're entering the school or joining a school, you have a contract you sign with a school. Whenever you're searching for wrong information over the internet in our lab, you need to be given a suspect. So all the searches you're going to be looking for over the internet in the computer lab have to be related to our class assignments or to what you are studying. We continue. And we have an activity which is 1.7, and it is all about ICT safety precautions. Question 1 is telling us that in groups, discuss rules that govern the use of the computer laboratory. I think we have summarized some of them. You can still add on yours, but we have talked about some of them. In your opinion, what are some of the threats of not protecting ICT tools? For example, you have a computer lab, you don't protect it. For example, theft, burglary. People are going to come and steal one component at a time. That is what we call the theft. If you don't protect those ICT tools, they're going to steal them. That's why we install CCTV cameras in our computer lab. Just to watch over people or students such that they don't pick our mouse, They don't pick our other components without actually us looking at them. We keep watch over them. For example, another one is an antivirus. If you don't protect your computer using an antivirus software, you're going to get what we call viruses, which will lead to loss of your data from the computer. So that's what I had for you for today. Thank you for watching. It's been Henry the Computer Guy, and if you're new to my channel, please click the subscription button below, and don't forget to share the link to other people who need it. Bye bye. I sign out.